Standing by. Today I'm going to be reviewing the Trijicon TA02 with the RMR top mounted. So what is my experience with this optic? Well, it's lived on this gun since I bought it 6 to 8 months ago. It's seen about 1,200 rounds of mainly just 55 grain M193. I've shot it out to 600 yards on one occasion, but mostly I've been spending time at 300 and 400 yards. I've done now one rifle competition with this setup right here. Just with the red dot and the ACOG. And honestly, it went really well. I felt like the long range stages in the competition were kind of a breeze with this optic. I'd like to do some more rifle competitions. You know, I really do think that competition is the best way to kind of shake out your gear and see what works and what doesn't work, because it's pretty high stress and there's a lot going on and very complex stages and courses of fire. Why did I choose this optic in the first place? Well, I think the biggest reason is the BDC simplicity. This optic is extremely simple. It has a line for 100 yards, which is what you zero it at. It has a line for 200, 300, 400, 500, 600 yards. It's supposed to line up with a 14.5-inch barrel with 62 grain M855. And like I said at the beginning, I've been shooting primarily 55 grain. So I found that kind of a belt hold on a C-zone steel or a reduced C-zone steel is going to kind of guarantee you a pretty close to center hit at those particular yardages. Last reason I picked it is because I wanted something durable. I kind of consider this the rifle I would pick up in a bad situation, and I want this rifle to be durable. I want it to be reliable, and I want it to have an optic that I don't think is going to break. So some people might ask why I didn't go with the original tritium ACOG, the TA, I believe it's 31. Well, first and foremost, I wanted the dot a little further forward, and with the TA31, you have to do a rearward mounted dot. And I tried a few, and I wasn't really a big fan of that. I also found that the tritium's actually a little bit much. 99% of the time, I run this optic with no illumination. I don't even turn it on. I just use the crosshairs, especially during like this time of day. I don't need the illumination that comes from this optic. And by the way, it gets very, very bright. I had looked through some of the TA31s, and I kind of decided that the tritium was a little bright for, it kind of bloomed out the lines on the BDC, and it kind of made it, in my opinion, less usable. So I went with something I could adjust the brightness on. Some people might say, well, you know, if batteries aren't available, then your optic dies and you're not going to have anything. And I see the merit behind that argument, but at the same time, I think the crosshair is really enough, especially during the daytime. It's an etched reticle. Like I said, I don't find myself using the illumination really at all. With my particular choice, I went with the crosshair reticle. I'm not a big fan of the chevron. Again, I tried a few ACOGs that were the chevron type reticle, and again, I kind of found it imprecise. I want to mention that this is not a precision optic, but a little finer lines and a little less busyness kind of where the actual crosshair is, as opposed to the chevron, I think goes a long way. And so I went with the crosshair, and I'll pull up a picture of what it looks like with full illumination and without any illumination. So to reiterate, I've been mostly shooting 55 grain, which I think is what most people shoot. 62 grain green tips, stuff like that, especially if you're shooting at steel targets, isn't always the best idea. I also think 62 grain M855 is a little less inherently accurate. From a shooter's perspective, out at 3, 4, 5, and 600, I would say the glass clarity and the light transmission and the wide field of view are really kind of unbeatable with the ACOG. I think with LPVOs, you leave a little bit to be desired. Kind of leads me into my next point, is the cons, and it's the one everyone knows about, obviously, the eye relief. I'm just going to be honest, the eye relief on the ACOG isn't great. It's not as forgiving as an LPVO, but it's not as bad as people say it is either. I think people really kind of over-exaggerate the amount of eye relief you get out of the ACOG, and I think this kind of stems from the military and where they had their ACOGs positioned on the rail due to unit SOPs or whatever it might have been. And I really don't think that is the case with ACOGs at all. I think it's relatively easy to get behind this optic, certainly if you dry fire at all. And I definitely would recommend dry fire when you're trying to get better at shooting. The eye relief is advertised at 1.5 inches, and I would say 1.5 to 2 inches seems about right to me. I wanted to mention that I have not tried the ACOG on a VTAC yet. You really see how difficult it is to get behind the optic when you're in all sorts of weird positions. But the nice thing about this is I also have a red dot on it. This RMR is not the biggest window in the world, but it's pretty low profile, and I don't have too big of an issue finding it in kind of weirder positions that I've tried out and things like that. But I will try the VTAC barrier at some point, and I'll let you guys know how it goes. In conclusion, I really do recommend this optic for anyone that wants something simple. This isn't like a precision optic, you know, this isn't for your very finely tuned precision rifle that you're trying to get half MOA groups and then touch out to 700-800 yards. That isn't what this is. This is, in my opinion, a very simple and easy to use reticle that's going to give you extreme clarity and extreme field of view. There's no variable magnification. It's just you get behind the optic and you get what you get, and I think it's wholly usable and certainly reliable. I'm really looking forward to spending some more time behind this optic and maybe even trying to push it out to 700, 750, or the 14.5 inch fighting carbine, if that's what you want to call it. I'm not that much of a tactical dude. I definitely recommend the TA02 and the Trijicon RMR combination. It has been fantastic in my opinion. But pick one up if you want and go make your own opinions and get out there and shoot and spend some time on your guns and see what works and what doesn't work. Anyways, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed this very beautiful view of Pikes Peak in the background. I spent a lot of time getting up here to make this review, and I love it out here, so hopefully you guys enjoyed that. Thanks.